the day I opened my eyes, I felt like a bird in a cage. I was born in the middle of the Civil War, a war in Myanmar between Karen and Burmese soldiers. I am Karen. I am part of an ethnic minority group in Myanmar. We Karen people are one of the persecuted ethnic minority group from Myanmar, also known as Burma. However, we could not enjoy a peaceful life there. Burmese soldiers came to my family village. They stole our food and animals. They violently raped our children and our women. Before burning down the village, they killed many people. They killed my grandfather. My parents had to spend about a year traveling through the jungle. They had no food. They had to look for food in the forest, such as bamboo shoots, kikuda, and nottada. Vegetables that we ate don't even have a name in English. This food helped them survive while traveling through the jungle to the camp. While they reached Mela refugee camp, they had no idea they would be living like birds in a cage for years. I grew up in that refugee camp. While living in the camp, we slowly realized that we had almost no freedom. The camp was not a great place. We are not allowed to leave the camp. There is a lack of proper sanitation. You can smell the rotten aroma chicken, pigs, and dogs. The bathrooms are horrible. The toilets don't flush. They are just holes in the ground. There is absolutely no toilet paper. There is only a bucket of water and a cup for you to clean yourself. Even though the camp was not a great place, it was full of nature. Our house was next to the stream, so while we fall asleep, we heard the sounds of frogs. It was like music to us. Every morning around 4, we heard our fathering alarm clock, our beloved roosters. I remember my family and I planted some vegetables in our small backyard as we make the camp our home. We were always excited to see our plants grow. The different shades of green were so intact that they almost hurt my eyes. Our streets were not paved, so during the rainy season, we had a river of mud. Everywhere I went, especially when I went to school, I had to drag my whole body to prevent myself from not drowning in the thick mud. Sometimes I thought I would drown in the camp because there were so few opportunities. I thought I would be stuck there forever, just like a bird in a cage. I was never going to fly. I could only go to school if my parents had enough money. The money was needed because every student had to wear a uniform, and it was so expensive. Most of the time, there were not enough teachers for every class, so I just had to sit there and waste my time without learning anything. So we have school, but they did not prepare us enough for our future. I remember the pain when my teacher hit me because I could not memorize 2 pages of an essay. I screamed inside. Even though the education was not great, I was surrounded by my classmates who were all my friends. When it is time to go to school, Latu always stop by my house to pick me up. Shee Shee, no ame Willia, asked Latu. You ame Willie Blair, I reply. Latu Hoya asked Latu, I respond. Okoya the Jopo Blair, Yakakatashika uniform the jet. Then she said, Despite the fact that we may live far apart, I'm still in contact with many of them, especially Latu who live in Texas. If I close my eyes, I can still see their friendly, beautiful faces. Our school and house were made out of bamboo and leaf. Our home was the size of a classroom with 9 people living in it. We all slept on mats close to the floor and cooked food with a wood-burning stove. Just to cook the food, we would have to travel all the way through the jungle to collect loose wood on the ground. Most of our food was given us by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR. However, they will only provide us with rice, corn oil, chili, and yellow beans. I ate so much of this food and the taste is still in my mouth. Even though we received this food, it was not enough to feed my family. By the grace of God, my mother found a job in the camp to earn enough money for our family so we could survive. She worked at the library. However, it was not always enough for my sister and I to pay for school supplies. Living in the refugee camp was just be a bird in a cage. Since we were not allowed to live and find jobs outside the camp, my father had no choice but to sneak out and try to find work as well. He snuck out at late night but currently under the barbed wire fence. He was successful, but he had to sneak back in. The job he found would be a carpenter. If he had been caught, he would have been sent back to Myanmar, separated him from us. We were all blessed that he was never caught. We lived there for 16 years. Because we were there so long, we were not sure what would happen to us if the cage ever opened. At first, even though the cage did open, we have no idea if we should leave the camp or just stay in it, because we could not imagine how our life would be if we left the camp. It would have been too dangerous to go back to Myanmar. We would not have been allowed to become Thai citizens. Fortunately, we were allowed to come to America. Before we were allowed to go, my parents went through a long interview process. They were interviewed by an officer from the International Office of Migration. My parents told me that they have to tell their personal stories. They had to convey the officer that they are qualified to be a refugee, that they were afraid of being persecuted if they were sent back to Myanmar. Next, we all had to pass a medical examination. Finally, we were given permission to come to America. Here in America, we have been able to freely fly everywhere we want. Having experienced what it is like not to be free has had a profound effect on who I am. I know what it is like to be in school and not learning anything. This has made me treasure the educational opportunity I have had here in San Diego. I encourage all of you not to take your education for granted. I would tell the same thing to any students, whether or not they were born here. Having lived with very little has taught me what it is more valuable in life. It is not money. For me, it is giving back to the community that it has supported me. This community extends from Mela Camp to City High. I hope none of you ever have to live like bird in a cage, and that help assure that no one else ever has to. Thank you.
Shee Shee Po, everybody.